Hello, you guys. I had the most amazing weekend. It was really packed. I was very busy learning a new skill. I was learning how to make a podcast. I was learning how to make a podcast. I've never done that before. And with everything that I've done over the last year, it was trial and error, but I figured it out. And fairly soon I will have two podcasts on Spotify. And I have to tell you guys, I have to put a disclaimer because what ended up happening with one of them was it ended up like continuing. So it's like two podcasts that I had done, and then they put them together. Or I put them together on accident. I don't know. But anyway, everything I'm doing has been just a bit of trial and error. The first podcast has to do with just introducing myself and what I'm doing, what I talk about. And then the second one is a meditation. It is me during meditation and also affirmation. The reason why I did the meditation podcast was because a number of people have told me they cannot meditate. And I had an issue with meditation for many years. I just could not settle myself enough to meditate. So I understand exactly what they're saying. And so I wanted to do this so that they could initially possibly participate in my meditation and then find their own way from maybe participating in a meditation. Maybe they would focus enough on what I was doing and saying that they could get out of their mind for a little bit until they can have their own practice. That was what my hope was. Sometimes in my early intervention work, sometimes like putting language, talking for a child, putting language so that they feel understood was a technique that is used in early childhood, especially when children can't speak. Like sometimes when they were in like an argument, so two children wanted the same toy, so I would sit on the floor and I would sort of narrate, and it was a really effective tool so that they felt understood and they felt empowered until they can have their own voice and their own abilities to advocate for themselves. Along with my podcast, I also worked on my website. I was really excited. I was able to, I had told you all in some previous YouTubes that I had this dream, and I had jumped off a balcony, and I was able to actually put some of these videos of these people jumping onto my website, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm learning. Anyway, and I when I was watching them, it's really fascinating. I have to tell you, I don't know how they do this, and I would say I just don't think I could take it if one of my children were engaging. I'm just gonna be real. I mean, these boys are like jumping, doing all these like gymnastics on high-rise buildings. It is just insane. But I also feel like it is a demonstration on our bodies and what we are actually capable of. And a lot more than we think. As our body is energy, and I'm not really sure. I had talked in previous videos about this idea of us actually being able to move mountains. Jesus had said that we would say to a mountain to move and it would move. And he seemed to be a master at using energy in a way that was miraculous, anyway, like turning the water to wine, feeding the 5,000, and actually the scene, like the idea that when he said he was going to rise from the dead, and he did. He rose from the dead, and he came and visited his disciples. Anyway, so I was just excited that I was able to actually get it onto my website. I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, my skills are improving. But I do a disclaimer, because everything is not perfect. It's not perfect. So what I wanted to talk today about is, in addition to what I had just said, was I've been really thinking about the idea, what Jesus said about, as you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me. And I've been thinking about that quite a bit, about just the act of loving one person and the impact of that. And it possibly, this ripple effect, like adding to the energy field generally, but in more specifics, like putting energy toward a person in a physical way, but not in your physicality, but in in the field, and then their life actually being affected by that. And I'm actually seeing that. I'm actually witnessing it. And at first I would have actually thought it had absolutely nothing to do with me. Like, it would be, to use one of my dad's terms, pompous for me to to ever think that I would be able to affect, somebody's life that is not in my proximity. But I'm not entirely sure that that's true. I think that I perhaps am able, that we, it's not I, and it's not just me, it's we. So as we just love, it's like this ripple effect. But I think it's also, when we put to mind a certain person, and we put intentions in our mind toward a certain person, even if they are not in our physicality, that we can have an impact on their life. And I think that's true. And I'm not entirely sure how it all works, but I just believe it to be true, because I'm experiencing it. I'm experiencing it. I'm seeing it. And so I'm going to be toying with this a lot more, because I toy with ideas quite often, but this is the one that's been on my mind quite a bit recently. And this idea that I'm going to talk further about, but not so much today, but just putting it out there. The idea of us in our imagination being in this space that we are wanting, or I don't like to use the word want, because then it changes the energy, but that we are excited to have in our lives. So to actually put in our imagination what that would be like, what that would feel like, actually being it. And I'm going to be talking about that very soon. Anyway, love you guys. I will be back